Welcome to the Sleep Hours, the only place where cartoons fall asleep before you do. So grab your blanket, tuck in your favorite plushie, and let's get weird. So tonight's story is about a quiet, magical evening in the world of the Powerpuff Girls. As evening folds its velvet curtain across the sky, the city hums with the last whispers of the day. One by one, the Utonium home grows still, cradled in the soft embrace of night's lullaby. There's a hush that falls over Townsville just as the sun begins to melt behind the skyline, like honey pouring over the edges of a warm slice of toast. The clouds catch the last golden rays of daylight, blushing faint shades of pink and orange. Birds make their final loops through the air, their wings barely whispering through the wind. Even the busy streets of the city seem to soften. Cars roll more slowly, and the people walk with a kind of sleepiness in their step, as if they're already dreaming of home. In the middle of this quiet transformation stands a small house with a curved roof and white picket fence, the Utonium House. From the outside, it looks like any other home. A mailbox at the curb, a little tree out front, curtains swaying gently behind glowing windows. But inside lives something extraordinary. Not far beyond the fence, 3 little streaks of light swoop down from the skies, one red, one blue, and one green. Their movements are slower than usual, less sharp, more like gentle glides than heroes' dives. The day has been long full of excitement, of laughter, of tiny moments only they will remember. But now it's time to slow down. They land on the front porch with little more than a soft tap, like petals settling on the earth. The door swings open almost instantly, warm light spilling out into the dusk, and there, silhouetted by the soft yellow of the hallway, stands the professor. He says nothing, but his smile speaks for him. A kind smile. The kind you only find at the end of a day well lived. He holds a tray, 3 cups of warm cocoa nestled on top. Steam curls into the air like sleepy thoughts. Inside the house, the hum of night begins, not the kind you hear in the city, and this is the kind made of ticking clocks, distant drawers closing, the soft thump of socks against wooden stairs, and the way doors sigh shut. The house seems to breathe along with its inhabitants slowly, rhythmically, deeply. The girls take off their shoes near the door, one after another, a little pile growing like autumn leaves in a corner. There are no rushes anymore, no alarms, no villains, no urgent beeps or flashing screens. Only the muffled clink of mugs being set down on the kitchen counter and the warm hush of bedtime approaching. The air smells faintly of vanilla, not from a candle. No, this scent is lived in, woven into the walls. The floorboards creak politely beneath small feet, never complaining, just remembering. This house remembers everything. The laughter, the tears, the quiet bedtime songs that echo even now in the silence. The kitchen light is dimmed low, bathing the room in amber glow. On the fridge, drawings made long ago are still hanging by sleepy magnet stick-figure villains with big red X's over them, and glitter-glued hearts with uneven smiles. A small calendar hangs nearby, its pages curled with time, with circles drawn around special days, some with stars, others with question marks. But tonight is not one of those nights. Tonight is ordinary, and in its ordinariness, it is perfect that in the living room the television is off. The curtains are drawn. A soft hum comes from a lamp beside the couch, its light gentle and golden, like it knows how not to wake the house. A book sits open on the armrest, its pages slightly bent from past readings, something about space or dreams or maybe both. It's hard to say, but the bookmark peeks out like it's waiting to continue a story tomorrow. Upstairs, bedroom doors stand slightly ajar, like they're ready to welcome their little heroes home. Beds are made with blankets tucked just right, pillows fluffed with silent care, and stuffed animals resting where they were left this morning, waiting, always waiting. And the girls, they begin to melt into this rhythm of evening. They no longer float. They walk. Their footsteps are light, almost careful not to disturb the serenity that's beginning to blanket the home. Their movements slow like stars drifting into place in the night sky. The red one sets her things aside with careful precision, like a ritual. The blue one hums quietly to herself as she drags her little toy behind her, its soft fabric whispering across the floor. The green one stretches her arms high above her head, letting out a long, exaggerated sigh, like someone releasing the last ounce of the day. And through it all, the house listens. The house holds them, wraps around them. Every corner of it is soft now. Every wall feels like it's exhaling. Outside, the wind brushes gently against the windows like fingers across piano keys. The stars, one by one, begin to show themselves, timid at first, then braver, brighter. And the moon, a thin silver ribbon in the sky, rises slowly, watching over the world with quiet pride. The day has grown quiet. And within that quiet, something magical begins to bloom, the gentle promise of rest. There's a certain peace that arrives in the in-between, not quite night, not fully day. That narrow sliver of time when the world lets go. It's here, in this pocket of quiet, that the girls settle in deeper. The sound of the front door closing behind them feels final in the most comforting way, like the last page of a book before dreams take over the story. The professor walks through the living room with soft steps, careful not to break the spell of this slow descent into night. He gently places each mug of cocoa onto the coffee table. The warm ceramic meets wood with the smallest of sounds, a clink so delicate it could be mistaken for the sigh of a sleeping house. The steam from the mugs dances into the lamplight like it knows no hurry, curling and twisting upward until it disappears into the ceiling's shadows. He doesn't need to say anything. There are no instructions, no reminders. The rhythm of this house at bedtime is one they all know by heart. It lives in their bodies now in the slow way they reach for their mugs, in the soft silence between them. Sometimes love doesn't need words. Sometimes it's in the warmth of a drink held between small hands, in the way no one turns on any more lights, in the shared understanding that this moment is sacred. Outside the windows, the wind moves more slowly now. Trees sway in rhythm, their branches brushing gently against each other like friends sharing secrets. Somewhere nearby, a dog barks once, then falls silent again. Even the animals seem to know it's time to rest. One of the girls sinks into the couch, her legs curled beneath her like a cat, her eyes watching the glow of the lamp more than anything else. Another stands at the window for a moment longer, her breath fogging the glass as she watches the last pinks of sunset melt into violet. The third leans back against the wall near the staircase, her mug hugged tightly to her chest, her eyes half closed already. And above them all, the house breathes. Yes, it breathes. Not with lungs, of course, but in the way all lived-in places do, with its floorboards creaking softly as they adjust to cooler night air, with the gentle hum of pipes and settling walls, with the scent of cocoa and quiet. There's a framed photograph on a nearby shelf, a moment from long ago. The girls in the garden, arms covered in paint, wide smiles frozen in time. The professor behind them, his sleeves rolled up, his face a blend of pride and disbelief. Even photographs rest more peacefully at this hour, as if their stories, too, are ready for sleep. A clock ticks somewhere in the background, the steady rhythm of its second hand, soft and sure, not rushing, just moving forward moment by moment, guiding the night like a lullaby. One of the lights flickers not out of fear or malfunction, but simply because it's tired too. It steadies again, dimmer now, as if tucking itself beneath a blanket of its own glow. And then, from the kitchen, the professor returns a folded blanket draped over his arm. He gently unfolds it and places it over the girl curled on the couch, not saying a word. She doesn't move, doesn't open her eyes, just lets out a long, sleepy breath and shifts slightly to welcome the warmth. There's no rush to the night, no schedule, no tasks to finish or goals to complete. This is the kind of evening that doesn't demand anything but stillness. Through the upstairs hallway, a faint flicker of lamplight peeks through a cracked door. Soft shadows dance across the carpet. A book lies open beside a bed, pages fluttering slightly in the breeze from a barely open window. A quiet reminder that stories don't always end when the last word is read. Sometimes they continue in dreams. Back downstairs, a soft creak echoes from the staircase, not alarming, just familiar. A weight shifts. Footsteps, barely there, make their way up. The house accepts them, welcomes them, like an old friend offering one last hug before sleep. From the top of the stairs, the glow of the bedroom spills out faintly. No one speaks. No one needs to. This is the part of the day where everything slows to its gentlest rhythm, the part where even thoughts begin to tiptoe. Outside now, the sky has turned velvet, deep, endless blue. Stars prick the fabric gently, blinking with kindness, not urgency. The moon has risen higher, its silver face soft and wide, watching over the house as if it knows these walls hold something precious. And inside those walls, the girls are beginning to disappear, not in body, but in energy. Their brightness dims to something softer, like candlelight after a celebration, still glowing, still beautiful, but slower, quieter. The first yawn echoes softly through the hallway, long and unbothered. It is not covered or stifled, but welcomed, because here yawns are like punctuation marks, signals that the sentence of the day is drawing to a close. Another door creaks open, then closes gently behind a small hand. A light switches off. The house grows dimmer, softer, quieter, but never lonely, never empty. Because even in sleep, this house is full of memories of warmth, of unspoken love. And though the city beyond its walls may still hum, this little corner of Townsville has begun its descent into rest, into stillness, into the sacred hush of night. In one of the bedrooms, a curtain flutters gently, stirred by a sleepy wind that slips in through a barely cracked window. It's the kind of breeze that doesn't chill, it simply drifts, brushing over pillows and soft sheets, carrying with it the quiet scent of nighttime. Somewhere in the distance, a wind chime sings a low, lazy note. Just one, just enough to remind the world that all is well. The house is no longer just a home. It has become a nest, feathered with softness, wrapped in layers of familiar sounds, filled with the warmth of tiny lives slowing down. Upstairs, the hallway is bathed in golden dimness. The overhead light has been switched off, replaced by the gentle glow of a nightlight shaped like a star. Its light doesn't shout, it whispers. It touches the walls with a kind of softness only the night understands, as if it knows that too much brightness would be too loud for this sacred hour. One door is still open slightly. Behind it, the rustle of blankets, the sound of something being tucked in. Perhaps a favorite toy being positioned just so. Maybe a last glance at a bedside picture. Or maybe just one more quiet breath taken before slipping beneath the covers. Downstairs, the professor rinses the cocoa mugs one by one in the kitchen sink. The tap runs gently like a lullaby in liquid form. He doesn't rush. His movements are slow, steady, mindful. Even his hands seem to move more peacefully in the evening. After a day of inventions and experiments, after bustling around and patching scrapes and calming sibling squabbles, there's something sacred in the simple rhythm of washing dishes under soft light. He dries each mug with a faded towel, one he's probably had since the girls were little stained with time, frayed at the edges but loved. Everything in this house, from the furniture to the smallest spoon, holds a history. A quiet story. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is wasted. Even time feels slower here. As the water shuts off, silence returns to the kitchen, curling in like an old cat ready to rest. The professor switches off the last light, and for a moment, the room is lit only by the moon filtering through the window. He stands there for a breath or two, eyes scanning the quiet around him, as if he's memorizing it. The stillness, the peace, the invisible threads that hold this life together. He walks up the stairs next, his hand trailing lightly along the wooden banister, not out of need but out of habit. A small creak on the third step, always the third. It's a sound that doesn't startle anymore. It comforts. Each step carries him deeper into the softness of the house. By the time he reaches the top, the hallway feels like a lullaby all on its own. No music, no voices, just warmth, just breath, just the hush of rest, waiting patiently. A soft flicker of motion comes from one of the bedrooms, perhaps a blanket being pulled up higher, or a sleepy stretch under the covers. He peeks through the open doorway just for a moment, just long enough to see that everything is as it should be. Tiny shoes are lined up neatly on the rug. A storybook lies closed beside the bed, its corners slightly curled. A stuffed toy is tucked beneath one small arm. The child in the bed is still, but breathing softly, rhythmically, a gentle rise and fall like waves meeting the shore. And as the professor closes the door just a little more, not all the way, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to. The house says it for him. You're safe. You're loved. Rest now. He moves to the next room. Same pause and same glance. Same quiet assurance that sleep has found its way in. And outside the sky grows deeper still. No longer just dark, but vast. Infinite. The kind of night that holds dreams. The kind of night that listens. A star twinkles brighter than the others high above the rooftops. Maybe it's watching. Maybe it's remembering. Maybe it's whispering lullabies of its own from distances no one could ever measure. Inside the Utonium House, the hush deepens. One by one, the rooms surrender to the softness. Lights go out. Breaths slow. Thoughts drift. Even the floor beneath the professor's feet seems to sigh as he walks, not out of weariness, but out of contentment. A kind of closing chapter sealed with silence. The final door stands slightly open. He pauses there, looks inside. Another small body already bundled in warmth, the faintest smile on this sleeping face. He reaches out gently, not to wake, just to adjust the corner of the blanket, just to make sure everything is perfect. His fingertips barely graze the edge of the bed. And then, slowly, silently, he backs away, pulling the door until it rests quietly in place, not closed, but not wide open. Just enough. Just right. The hallway is quiet now. So quiet you could hear the dreams beginning to form. Back in the hallway, the professor lingers for just a moment longer. He stands in the glow of the star-shaped nightlight, letting the silence settle around him like mist. His gaze drifts down the hall, 3 doors, 3 rooms, each now still. Inside them, 3 hearts beginning to wander through the landscape of dreams. He doesn't smile broadly or sigh dramatically, but there's a softness in his eyes, a gentleness in his posture, the kind of quiet love that needs no announcement, the kind that exists simply in presence, in being there, night after night, with a steady hand and a light step. Turning away, he makes his way down the hallway once more. The floorboards whisper beneath his feet, familiar in their song. He doesn't bother with the overhead light. The hush is too precious now to be broken by brightness. Instead, he moves through shadows and glows, guided by memory and warmth. Downstairs, the last lamp still glows faintly, casting its amber light across the armrest of the couch and the folded blanket left behind. One cocoa mug sits untouched, a gentle curl of steam rising still from its surface, the last remnants of heat. Maybe it belonged to the one who was too sleepy to finish it. Or maybe it was meant for no one, just there to warm the room. The professor walks past it without needing to touch it. Everything is in its right place. He walks to the front window and parts the curtain just slightly. Outside, the world is dark and hushed. The street lights have flickered on, glowing dim and golden like fireflies frozen in midair. The sidewalk is empty. The air still. Even the trees have stilled their swaying, leaves hanging like silent prayers in the night. A cat sits at the corner of the yard, curled up on the stone path, eyes closed in its own sort of trust. The kind of trust that only nighttime brings when the world feels safe enough to let go. When every creature, great and small, seeks stillness and finds it waiting. The curtain falls back into place and the professor moves away from the window. Not rushed, just ready. Ready to let the night have him too. He turns off the final light, that last golden lamp, and in an instant, the downstairs is wrapped in a tender darkness. Not the kind that hides, but the kind that holds. The kind that listens and cradles and waits with patience. The only light left now comes from the moon, silver and soft, slipping through windows and leaving gentle shadows that stretch across the floor like sleepy vines. The walls wear these shadows like bedtime robes, drawn over the shoulders as they prepare for rest. Everything has slowed. Everything has quieted. And in that quiet, the Utonium House begins to dream. Not loudly, not vividly, but faintly, like a memory playing through a lullaby. Because houses do dream, if not in pictures, then in feelings, in warmth, in stillness. In the way the air itself begins to soften. Upstairs, breaths grow slower, deeper. One of the girls turns in her sleep, a soft rustle of blanket the only sign. Another exhales through her nose, a puff of air so gentle it could be mistaken for the wind. The stuffed animals remain on their watch, silent guardians of slumber. One rests beneath a small arm. Another stands upright on a shelf looking out into the room like a lighthouse on a still sea. A nightlight hums faintly in a corner, its soft light casting constellations onto the ceiling, tiny galaxies spinning silently above little heads full of dreams. And the stars outside, they shine without need for attention. They do not twinkle to be noticed. They do not demand to be seen. They simply glow because that is their way, steady, patient, eternal. Inside the Utonium House, the same is true. There are no grand movements now, no final bursts of energy, only peace, long and stretching. The professor settles into his own room. He places his glasses on the nightstand, the faint click of their frame against wood marking the end of another day. He folds his blanket back and sits for a moment on the edge of the bed. A quiet pause. One more breath. Then he lays down slowly, letting the mattress catch him like an old friend. Outside his window, the moon hovers above the horizon, watching, always present. In the stillness, time seems to slow even more, not stop, just stretch. Each second gliding past like a feather falling through the dark. There is no need to rush toward sleep. It is already here, wrapped around the rooms, settled in the corners, carried in every breath. The day has grown quiet, and in that quiet, rest blooms like a garden. Upstairs, the walls begin to hum with a silence that is more felt than heard. It is the kind of silence that speaks, gently, beneath the quiet creak of the floor and the hush of breath. It stretches through the halls like a blanket pulled from corner to corner, tucking in every sound, every light, every restless thought. A soft breeze threads through the slightly open window again, brushing its cool fingers across the curtains. They sway like they're dreaming, half asleep, half awake. The stars outside blink a little slower now, casting patterns that no one is awake to see, but are beautiful all the same. One of the bedrooms is filled with the faint scent of clean linen, and something sweeter, maybe lavender from a tucked-away sachet, maybe the memory of a favorite shampoo still clinging to a pillow. The air is soft, feathered with warmth and night. Inside that room, the girl under the covers stirs not from noise, not from fear, but simply from the gentle pull of sleep guiding her deeper. She shifts once, curling into herself, a small hand slipping beneath the pillow, as if searching for the comfort of something familiar. And she finds it not in an object, but in the weight of the blanket, in the stillness of the air, in the invisible presence of love. In another room, a faint hum of a nightlight continues, low and unwavering. It casts a soft glow across a shelf filled with books and tiny keepsakes, paper stars, drawings taped to the wall, a photo half tucked into a frame. This room wears its stories proudly, but tonight it rests too. The shadows on the walls stretch a little longer now, not out of reach, just more relaxed and more at home. Even the colors in the room have softened. What was once bright pinks and sharp greens has turned to dusky purples, pale blues, moon-kissed grays. Like the house itself is slipping into its pajamas. And somewhere in the space between sleep and waking, there is stillness. That sacred, heavy stillness that settles in only when everyone is safe. When every door is closed just right, and every light is dim just enough, and every heart has finally exhaled. Down the hallway, a soft thud, the sound of a book falling from the edge of a bed, its final page read, its weight no longer needed. It doesn't startle anyone. The sound is part of the night now, accepted, folded in. A punctuation mark in a story that continues even with eyes closed. The professor, now tucked beneath his own blanket, blinks slowly up at the ceiling. There's no rush to close his eyes. Sometimes rest comes not in sleep alone, but in simply lying still, knowing that the ones you love are sleeping deeply just down the hall. He smiles faintly in the dark, a smile no one sees, but one that matters all the same. Outside, the moon continues its slow arc across the sky. It bathes the roof of the Utonium House in soft silver, painting the shingles in shimmering quiet. The tree in the front yard stands motionless, its leaves at rest, its branches at peace. Not far from the porch, a porch light flickers once, then settles. Even light has its own rhythm when the night grows this soft. The world outside begins to fade, not in importance, but in sound. The city that once buzzed, chattered, roared, is now only a distant hum, a memory waiting for morning. Inside the house, time feels like it's folded as though the hours have curled into a corner and fallen asleep too. Everything is suspended in a perfect pause, and this truly is the moment where day gives itself fully to night. There is nothing left undone, nothing more to say. The walls hold what they always have, the echoes of laughter, the softness of tears, the weight of long days and the promise of new ones. But tonight those things rest. Tonight the house is not a stage or a shelter or a lab or a place of battles won and lost. Tonight it is a cradle a hushed sanctuary holding four souls in a quiet rhythm, swaying gently on the waves of sleep. And still the stars keep watch, and still the moon holds its light, and still everything breathes slowly, deeply fully beneath the velvet sky. And now, the Utonium House has become something else entirely. Not just a home, not just shelter, but a living lullaby. Each wall hums with memories too tired to dance, but too precious to forget. Every quiet creak is a verse in a song. Only the night understands a song about bedtime cocoa, warm lights, shared silences, and the promise of tomorrow. Down the hallway you can almost feel it, the way the air thickens with gentleness. The way even the shadows lean in, as if to listen more closely. This isn't the silence of emptiness. This is the silence of fullness. The kind that settles only when everyone is right where they need to be. And in the stillness, there are stories still unfolding quietly, under the surface. One girl, deep in sleep, dreams of clouds made of cotton candy and skies that sing lullabies. She flies slowly, not to chase villains this time, but just to float, to drift, to rest her wings. Even in her dreams, the rush is gone. Another girl dreams of a green hill under moonlight, where wildflowers bloom with a gentle glow and soft breezes play lullabies through tall grass. She sits with her knees pulled to her chest, listening to the world sleep with her. And for once, she doesn't feel the need to be strong, just still. And the third? Her dream is quiet and strange and beautiful. A field of stars above her, oceans of glittering blue below. She floats, weightless, like a thought not yet spoken. There are no villains, no battles, just wonder and peace. The house, too, dreams of small feet running downstairs in the morning, of giggles echoing through hallways, of sleepy eyes blinking at cereal bowls and sunlight streaming through windows. It doesn't long for those things. It simply holds them, like fireflies in a jar, glowing softly in the dark. In his own room, the professor has finally let go. The last sigh has slipped from his lips. His breathing is slow now, steady and sure. There's a gentle rise and fall beneath his blanket, a stillness in his shoulders, the kind that only appears when a day has done all it needed to do, and done it well. There are no clocks ticking loudly, no alarm set. Time is not something to chase here. Not tonight. And outside, outside the world has turned into velvet. The grass in the yard seems to shimmer faintly in moonlight, as if wrapped in a silver dust. The mailbox, once the receiver of bills and letters and surprise packages, now stands still and content. The fence casts long, sleepy shadows across the lawn. Even the clouds above Townsville drift more slowly now, lighter, softer, as if they too are heading home. Everything is slower now, softer, kinder, because the day has not simply ended, it has exhaled. It has curled up like a kitten beside the hearth of night, and it has fallen asleep knowing it was enough. That it gave what it could, that it lived well. And you, dear listener, you are here too, drifting at the edge of the story, breathing slower, eyes growing heavier, your body folding itself into quiet. Let your shoulders drop, let your breath settle, let this stillness become your own. The world can wait, the noise can pause, the light will be there in the morning. But for now, you are safe. You are wrapped in quiet. You are in a house that hums with rest. And the night is yours to dream through. So close your eyes gently. Feel the hush wrap around you. And let go. The day has grown quiet. And in its quiet, you are home. Somewhere upstairs in a bathroom where the walls are painted the color of early morning skies, The soft click of a faucet turns into a trickle, and then a stream. The sound of water begins to fill the room, a quiet waterfall pouring into a porcelain lake. The tub, empty just moments ago, begins to fill with warmth. Steam curls up like slow-moving clouds, dancing into corners, fogging up the mirror with a sleepy sigh. The room hums with calm, not the quiet of emptiness, but the hush of intention. Here everything happens slowly, on purpose, as if time itself has curled up on the edge of the sink and decided to rest a while. A tiny hand turns the faucet just a little more warm, not hot, and another lifts a bottle with a cartoon duck on it. The bottle is squeezed gently, and from its cheerful mouth pours liquid as thick as honey and pale as moonlight. It hits the water, and within seconds, bubbles begin to bloom. Tiny at first, shy even. They cling to the corners of the tub like thoughts that haven't fully formed. But then, they grow bolder. They blossom into little domes of light and air, clusters of soft foam piling higher and higher, climbing toward the rim like sleepy mountains of fluff. And the scent that fills the air, oh, it's lovely. A swirl of vanilla and baby powder, of clean clouds and soft cotton, a scent that knows how to soothe, how to calm a restless heart and whisper, "You're safe, you're warm, you're home." The bubbles rise higher. One pops, then another. Not loudly, just a soft plip, like a tiny kiss on the surface of the water. And still they keep coming. Some stretch wide and gleaming, reflecting the bathroom light in shimmering rainbows. Others huddle close together, forming soft islands of foam, floating freely across the surface. As the tub fills, so too does the space around it, not just with steam, but with stillness, with peace, with something that feels almost magical. Like the kind of bath that isn't just meant to clean, but to cradle, to wrap a tired body in warmth and say, "You've done enough today." A gentle splash, then another. Tiny ripples roll across the surface, pushing the bubbles this way and that like sleepy ships on a quiet sea. And somewhere beneath the bubbles, little toes wiggle beneath the water, brushing against the smooth bottom of the tub. There is no hurry here. No voices calling from downstairs, no alarms, just the steady rhythm of dripping water and the occasional sound of a hand scooping a pile of foam, lifting it into the air only to let it float back down. Outside the bathroom window, the sky has turned completely to night. But inside, everything glows. The light above the mirror has been dimmed, not turned off, just softened. The shadows it casts are round, gentle, the kind that curve around corners and leave nothing sharp behind. The mirror is now fully fogged, a blurry canvas that hides reflection, and instead turns into a soft, glowing circle like a moon caught behind mist. And there, in the middle of it all, sits a little girl with blonde pigtails and eyes that blink slowly with every passing second. Her shoulders have dropped. Her breathing has slowed. The warmth of the water seeps into her skin, into her bones, into the very heart of her. She lifts a handful of bubbles and blows gently. They scatter like dandelion fluff, catching the light, spinning once or twice before fading. There's no game being played, no mission, no plan. Just being here, being warm, being still. That's all this moment asks. The water in the tub has stopped rising now, just the right level. The faucet is off. The hush is complete. Only the bubbles speak in their own language of soft pops and tiny fizzles. They shift and glide, cluster and drift, making shapes that disappear before they're ever named. A duck-shaped sponge floats gently across the tub, bumping lightly against the side. A washcloth sits neatly folded nearby, untouched for now. Even the bath toys are quiet tonight, content to drift and doze. And above it all, A light hum begins, not from outside, not from the room, but from within. A song, gentle, wordless, soft as breath. It fills the air like smoke from a candle, lingering long after the sound fades. She's not singing for anyone, not even for herself, really. The sound is just there, a part of the moment, a part of the night. The kind of hum that rises up only when everything feels right, when the water is warm, when the air smells like dreams, when the world outside the door is melted away and all that's left is now. A tiny hand brushes the surface of the water, slow and unhurried, drawing quiet circles through the foam. Each swirl leaves a spiral of drifting bubbles, a sleepy trail in the milky water. Her fingers glide beneath the surface, then rise again, sending droplets to trace tiny paths down her arm. They don't race. They meander like lazy rain, like stars falling with nowhere urgent to go. She leans her head back now, resting it gently against the curved edge of the tub. The porcelain is cool where the warm steam doesn't touch, but it feels good, a small contrast, like the soft pillow of night pressing against her thoughts. Her eyelashes flutter once, twice, then settle again. The bathroom, once alive with the sound of water, has fallen to a lull. The hush is perfect now, the kind that makes you want on to breathe slower, to listen deeper, even though nothing is being said. A single bubble rises from the surface, bigger than most. It wobbles slightly, catching the soft light above and turning into a glistening world of its own. Pale pinks, soft yellows, and tender greens dance across its surface, colors shifting with each heartbeat. It floats upward, silent and weightless. It drifts toward the fogged mirror, then spins lazily sideways, before popping with a sound so small it's almost imagined. In this little room, time has forgotten itself. There is no tick, no talk, only now, only this. The sponge duck drifts by again, this time brushing gently against her arm. She doesn't move it. She simply feels it. A small nudge from a soft world that expects nothing, that only wants her to rest. From behind the closed bathroom door, the distant murmur of the house continues. A floorboard creaks. A muffled yawn echoes through a wall. The professor's gentle steps retreat to his room, but here, inside this warm cocoon, the world is far away, and yet never closer. The bubbles have reached their peak now, high and thick, their peaks leaning against one another like sleepy hills. Some carry little reflections of the nightlight's glow. Others drift to the edge and disappear in a sigh of soap and silence. And in the middle of it all, she lifts her foot from the water just slightly, watching as droplets race down her shin and fall, one by one, back into the bath. Each splash is tiny, like punctuation in a sentence the world has whispered just for her. Outside, a light breeze shakes a nearby tree, causing a soft rustling of leaves just beyond the window pane. It sounds like lullabies whispered in another language, not meant to be understood, only felt. And she does feel it. In the water, in her chest, in her toes, and in the space just behind her eyes, where dreams like to settle when they know they're welcome. She picks up a handful of bubbles once more, and cups them like treasure. This time she doesn't blow them away. She holds them close, watches them wiggle and wiggle, watches them melt back into themselves, slowly, silently. She presses her cheek against her shoulder. Her hair, now damp, clings gently to her face like fine ribbons. One strand curls behind her ear, forgotten and free. Her eyelids begin to droop. Not from exhaustion, but from surrender. A lovely, weightless kind of surrender that comes when a day has finished exactly how it should. The water is still warm, the bubbles still plenty. But even they know their job is nearly done. Their dance has slowed, their shimmer has dimmed. And like everything else tonight, they are ready to rest. There's something sacred in this softness. Not grand, not loud, just sacred. The warmth, the quiet. The way the world seems to lean in and wrap itself around one small heart, asking for nothing, but offering everything. And the girl in the tub, the one with a heart full of kindness, and dreams full of colors no one else has ever seen. She doesn't need to be told that it's time to sleep. Her body already knows. Her spirit already halfway in the clouds. She lets out a long, slow sigh, not a tired one, but a peaceful one. The kind that says, I'm ready. Not for dreams of adventure, not for flights or battles or races, but for calm, for stillness, for drifting through a sky made only of stars and safety. The air in the bathroom has grown heavier now, not uncomfortable, but close, like the embrace of a thick blanket. The steam hangs lower, drifting near the surface of the bath like a sleepy fog rolling across a quiet lake. Every breath she takes draws in that warmth, that softness, that scent of clean and calm. And each breath out carries away the last flickers of the day, the tiny tugs of thoughts that no longer need to be chased. The bubbles are beginning to settle. They no longer rise and dance. They simply rest, their peaks gently shrinking, their edges softening. Some have melted back into the water. Others still cling to her arms and shoulders like sleepy stars too tired to float away. And beneath the foam, the water holds her. Completely. It cradles her small frame with the patience of something ancient, something knowing. It doesn't hurry her. It doesn't press. It just supports. Gently. Silently. Unshakably. She shifts once, just slightly, curling her knees toward her chest. Her chin rests lightly on the tops of them now. Her arms wrapped around her legs, floating in the warmth like a boat nestled into its harbor. Her eyes aren't fully closed, not yet, but they're half-lidded, heavy, blinking only every so often. The glow from the nightlight shimmers faintly against the tiled wall. Patterns made by the moving water flicker across it like waves of light, alive and drowsy, casting sleepy reflections that rise and fall with each tiny ripple in the tub. Somewhere in the background, the pipes let out a low groan, old and familiar. Not loud, not alarming. Just the kind of sound a house makes when it's relaxing, too. Everything in the Utonium home breathes as one now. Every floorboard and faucet and tile seems to understand. This is the hour of hush. On the edge of the bathtub, a pale pink towel lies neatly folded. It waits patiently, knowing its moment is near. There's no rush in its fibers, just readiness. Soft and warm from the steam in the room, it will greet her not like an object, but like an old friend. And she leans back again now, sinking just a little deeper into the water. Her hair fans out behind her, floating freely for a moment before gently settling on the surface like silk. Bubbles cling to the ends. Her breath is steady. The rise and fall of her chest like a lullaby, the water hums back to her. There's a kind of magic here that doesn't sparkle or shout. It doesn't need stars or spells. It lives in the ordinary, the quiet water, the low light, the scent of soap, and soft sleep. A single droplet falls from the tip of her nose, splashing soundlessly onto the surface below, and for a moment time hiccups. The ripple it leaves behind spreads in slow circles, touching every bubble near, nudging the water into the gentlest of movement. She notices it, but barely, because her thoughts have already begun to loosen their grip. She's no longer thinking about the day, not about the games, or the laughter, or the flights through Townsville's sky, not even about bedtime. Her mind is somewhere quieter now, slower, not quite dreaming, not quite awake, just floating, in between. And in that in-between, everything feels weightless. The bath is no longer just a place to get clean, it's a passage. A soft tunnel from the land of wakefulness to the land of dreams, and she is already halfway through. The mirror has fogged entirely now, hiding the world behind it. The ceiling is barely visible through the drifting steam. The only clear space left is right here in the circle of her small body, surrounded by the water, wrapped in bubbles, glowing in low golden light. She lets out another breath, this one deeper, longer. Her fingers float above the water for a moment, limp and loose, before drifting gently back beneath the surface. The water welcomes them with a soundless sigh. Even the rubber duck, once bobbing happily across the tub, has slowed its travel. It rests now near her side, caught in a corner of foam. It leans gently, as if listening to the heartbeat of the water beneath it. Outside, the wind has settled entirely. The trees no longer rustle. The sky no longer moves. Everything beyond this house has stilled, as if the whole world has decided to pause, just for her, just for this moment, just for sleep. The warmth of the bath holds her like a gentle spell, not the kind cast with wands or whispered incantations, but the older kind, the truer kind, the spell of comfort, the spell of stillness, the kind that wraps around the limbs and hums to the bones, saying without words, "You're allowed to rest." And so she does. Her eyes close now, not sharply, not suddenly. Just a slow drift, like the softest curtain falling across a window at dusk. Her breathing follows, deeper, slower, softer. Each breath in takes in the scent of vanilla and warmth. Each breath out releases the final flickers of thought. The bubbles no longer climb. The foam has grown sleepy too, curling at the edges of the tub, forming little resting spots across the surface. Their shimmer fades gently, the rainbows on their skin turning pale, then clear, then gone. Only a few hold on stubborn and sweet, their curved backs catching the light like tiny planets, silently spinning in their own small universe of calm. She shifts again, but not from discomfort. It's that familiar sleep movement, the one bodies make when the spirit is already halfway in a dream. A small turn of the shoulder, a gentle tilt of the head, the kind of movement that says, "I'm still here." But not for long. On the nearby counter, a soft towel waits, still folded. A plush robe hangs on the hook behind the door, arms hanging like a hug not yet given. These things do not hurry her. Nothing in this room does. They simply wait, glowing quietly in the warm light, like stars waiting for dusk to finish falling. And time, oh, time has nearly stopped now. The world is wrapped in that sleepy magic where nothing asks to be done. There are no tasks, no voices, no plans, just this bath, just this breath, just this moment. If you listen closely, very, very closely, you could almost hear the sound of sleep approaching. Not a footstep, not a word, but a feeling, a pressure in the air, a hush so deep that even the bubbles seem to know to stay still. And outside, the moon shifts higher. It sends a single silver beam through the bathroom window, a quiet ribbon of light that drapes across her shoulders and settles on the surface of the bath. It kisses the water gently, then stays a guardian watching from the sky. That light finds her closed eyes and the soft curve of her cheek, and the way her fingers now float just beneath the surface, stilled. It touches the edge of the duck-shaped sponge, now halfway submerged, and the glistening rim of the tub where drops of condensation collect like pearls. Everything is soft. Everything is still, even her thoughts. They've become feathers now, too light to hold, too soft to stir. They float somewhere above her, brushing against dreams not yet formed, waiting for her to catch up. And she will. Any moment now. Because the bath has done its job. It has not only warmed her skin, it has slowed her soul. It has whispered to her bones, "You are safe. You are home. You may let go," and she has listened. The bath, now quieter than ever, gives one last sigh, a tiny ripple, a last stretch of warmth. The bubbles have nearly disappeared. The water has grown still. The steam fades upward, one last breath before vanishing into the ceiling. The night wraps its arms around the house, and the girl, floating gently in the cradle of warm water and silence, begins to drift, not just into sleep, but into something deeper, into peace, into the place where dreams begin, slow and kind and made of stars. Now the water rests as she does. No more movement, no more splashes, just a warm, steady pool cradling a body that's nearly weightless now. Her breathing is all that breaks the silence, and even that soft and slow becomes part of the room itself, like wind brushing over a quiet pond. A single drop clings to the tip of her nose, suspended there, trembling. Then finally it falls, barely a sound, as it joins the surface below. Even that feels like part of the ritual. The final drop. The last echo. The world is slowing. Perfectly. From behind the closed bathroom door, nothing intrudes. The sounds of the house, ticking clocks, distant murmurs, footsteps have faded to nothing. The whole home seems to lean back now, settling into the same rhythm as the girl in the tub. It breathes when she breathes. It rests when she rests. The towel still folded on the counter waits like a whisper. The robe behind the door waits too, its sleeves hanging long and still, like arms ready to wrap gently around a dreamer just returned from the clouds. Even the bath mat, soft and pale, lies at the base of the tub with quiet purpose, ready to receive her sleepy feet when the moment comes. But the moment hasn't come yet, because the bath still holds her, and she still belongs to it. A few bubbles remain, only a few now, tucked around the edges of the water, like tiny white islands dotting a fading sea. They don't move. They don't try to be seen. They simply are, just like her, present, soft, enough. The room, fogged in warmth and hush, begins to feel like a dream itself. Not just a space, but a memory already forming one, that she won't remember when she wakes, but will carry in her bones. Her arms, once drifting like feathers on the surface, have settled now. Her legs curl slightly to the side. Her head leans against the edge of the tub, and in every part of her, the slow rise of her chest, the gentle looseness of her fingers, the stillness of her lips, there is peace, true peace, the kind that doesn't come often even to heroes, because even little superheroes need to be held. Even they need warmth, stillness, a place where nothing is asked, a place where everything just stops. Outside, the stars have gathered in full. A blanket of silver freckles stretched across the sky, blinking slowly over Townsville. They know her name, those stars. They've watched her fly. They've watched her giggle, cry, protect, and play. But tonight, they watch her sleep. Or almost sleep. She's not quite gone yet. She still hovers in that tender, in-between space just beneath waking, just above dreaming. A floating world where the weight of the day is lifted, but the anchor of night hasn't quite pulled her under. And in that space, she finds something sacred. Not adventure, not action, but surrender. The water, cooling slightly now, wraps around her like silk. Her face softens, her mouth slackening into the smallest smile, the kind you don't know you're wearing. The kind that grows not from joy, but from safety. The room is darkening slowly. The nightlight's glow has dimmed, or maybe her eyes are just closing again, too gently to tell. The mirror, once fully fogged, has started to clear around the edges, a blurred oval of light returning to glass. But she doesn't look. She doesn't need to see herself. She already feels herself the way the water holds her, the way the room listens to her silence, the way the world outside has gone quiet just for her. There are no monsters tonight, no troubles, no emergencies, no noise. Only this moment, this bath, this silence. And slowly, finally, completely, she begins to sink. Not into the water, not into fear, but into sleep. A warm, golden place just beneath the surface of the world, where the air is softer, the colors are muted, and the heart is light. Now the water begins to cool just slightly. Not enough to startle, not enough to disturb, but just enough to signal the end of the moment. The warmth has done its work. It has calmed every muscle, loosened every thought, softened every corner inside her, and still she floats, not fully asleep, not fully awake, just suspended perfectly in that silver-blue space between. The final bubbles along the edge of the tub let out soft, tiny sighs as they collapse into the water, like whispers completing a story. They vanish without need for attention. They were here, and now they are part of the stillness. And in that stillness, her body barely moves. Only the smallest breath, the tiniest shifting of a toe or finger. Her head leans lightly against the curved edge of the tub, supported by a folded towel someone placed there earlier, thinking of her comfort before she ever arrived. These tiny kindnesses line the walls of the moment. The ducky sponge has stopped drifting. It leans now against her arm, like it too has fallen into slumber. A bath toy turned companion, silent, faithful, still. The steam has thinned. The mirror, slowly clearing at the edges, now reveals the faintest outline of her reflection, soft, blurry, wrapped in the gentle fog of fading warmth. But the shape is enough to say, you are here, you are held, you are safe. And she feels it, even without looking. She begins to shift ever so slightly, a lazy, slow motion, stretch of her legs beneath the surface. The water embraces her once again, like a blanket being pulled up to the chin. There's no urgency, no need to leave just yet. The moment allows space for her to linger, but inside her breath deepens, and then finally her eyelids fall completely this time. No blinking, no hesitation, just rest. Her breathing becomes the room's rhythm now. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Like waves rolling in and out across a beach made of foam and candlelight. Outside the window, the moon begins to tilt across the sky. Silver light curls around the clouds like ribbon. It pours through the frosted glass and spills softly across the tiled floor, reaching the bathtub like a hush spoken in light. The towel waits but doesn't call. The robe waits but doesn't stir. Even the floor beneath the tub seems to settle lower into the earth, holding her, holding the tub, holding the whole moment in sacred stillness. She is fully asleep now, still floating but no longer here. Her mind has stepped quietly through the final doorway, into dreams, gentle dreams, light ones, of floating in bubble skies, of giant rubber duckies drifting past moonlit clouds, of music made from wind chimes and whispering stars, of everything safe and small and glowing, the kind of dreams that wash the soul and whisper kindness to the heart. And even as her body stays in the tub, barely moving, barely even touching the surface, her spirit is elsewhere, drifting like one final bubble through the night, reflecting every shimmer, every softness, every peace. The bathroom, now dim and still, seems to exhale around her. A final breath, a closing of a page, the end of a lullaby. There is no applause, no grand good night. Only the silence, only the glow, only the dream. and from far down the hall, a soft creak, the house adjusting again in its sleep. A quiet gesture of protection, of presence, of peace. Tonight, Bubbles didn't just take a bath. She was cradled. She was wrapped in warmth and washed in quiet. She was rocked into slumber by the hush of water and the music of nothing. And in that slumber she drifted away, not with a splash, but with a sigh. Down the hallway, past the steam-softened glow of the bathroom door, and the muffled hum of dreams just beginning, another room flickers to life, but only faintly. A narrow sliver of lamplight slips under the door and spills into the hallway like a ribbon of gold brushed across velvet. The light is dim, steady, like a promise, like a whisper saying, "We're winding down now." Inside Buttercup's room is a world of her own. It hums differently than the rest of the house. Not chaotic, not anymore, but still full of quiet energy, like the last glow of sunset just before it fades into dusk. There's a sense of movement, but softened, blunted, as though the edges of her day have finally worn round. The floor is dotted with clothes, little puddles of today's adventures. A shirt tossed over the back of a chair. Socks curled into one another like old friends. Sneakers kicked off near the closet, slightly off balance, as if they'd landed mid-stride and then gave up the race. But the chaos isn't wild tonight. It's familiar, comfortable. The kind of scattered that belongs to a room well lived in. A space that knows its owner and accepts her completely. Near the bed, a drawer creaks open slowly, the sound worn in, as if it's done this every evening for years. Inside, stacks of soft cotton wait, folded in all the wrong ways, yet somehow exactly right. Pajamas with mismatched patterns, some with faded logos, some with tiny holes in the sleeves that have become part of the charm. A set is chosen without ceremony. Soft pants with sleepy stars printed across the fabric, and a t-shirt that smells faintly of laundry soap and summer afternoons. Nothing fancy, nothing perfect, just comfortable, just hers. She doesn't rush. She doesn't need to. The world has slowed. The moon has risen. The house has quieted around her. There's no battle to be won tonight, no city to save. Only zippers and sleeves and the slow rhythm of changing from day to night. The pajama shuffle begins a gentle dance of bare feet against a wooden floor. The thump of socks being pulled off, the rustle of cotton sliding over skin. There's something grounding about it, something real. It's a ritual not spoken of, but always returned to, like brushing teeth or turning off the light beside the bed or pulling the blankets just up to the chin. A small stack of comics sits on the floor near her bed. The covers are glossy in the lamplight. Dog-eared and well-read, they carry stories filled with speed, fire, lightning. But tonight, they remain untouched. The time for heroes is over, even pretend ones. The pajama pants slide up her legs easily, the fabric soft and familiar. A little too short, maybe. A little stretched in the knees, but perfect. The shirt comes next, pulled over her head with one smooth motion, falling into place like a hug. Loose at the shoulders, soft at the collar, worn in all the right places. She looks down at herself, nothing flashy, nothing loud, but somehow it feels exactly right, like exhaling after holding your breath. Like finally being in the skin you've waited all day to return to. The lamp beside the bed flickers slightly, not from power, but from thought. It senses the shift, knows it's almost time to dim, to rest, to join the night. Buttercup's room doesn't glitter. It doesn't shine, but it glows in its own quiet way. The posters on the walls are worn at the corners, edges curled from time. Stickers are half peeled, memories of phases and favorites long past. A trophy stands on the bookshelf, slightly crooked. A baseball glove rests beside it, fingers curled in, sleeping. Everything here has lived, everything has paused. Now, even she pauses. Standing still in the middle of the room, her breath rises and falls with the kind of rhythm that doesn't need music. The kind that comes from inside. From the soft stretch of skin and bone learning how to let go. It's not easy for her, always this part. The slowing down, the softness. But tonight, it comes easier. Because something about the house has changed. About the air. About the way the light hits the bedspread. And how the sounds from the hallway are more like lullabies than footsteps. Because even strength gets tired. Even fire needs cooling. And even Buttercup wants peace. She moves now with slower steps, her bare feet whispering across the floorboards. Each step is a little quieter than the one before. Not because she's sneaking, not because anyone told her to hush, but because quiet is contagious and the night has already begun its gentle work. A small breeze slips in through the slightly cracked window. It smells of grass and distance, of stars. It brushes past her like a friend walking by, cool fingers trailing through the room just once before fading again. The curtain lifts and falls behind it like a slow breath. On her nightstand, a glass of water sits untouched exactly where it always waits. Not asked for, not dramatic, just there. Ready, steady. Like everything in this moment. Like the way her muscles begin to loosen under the fabric of her shirt. Like the way her shoulders finally drop after holding themselves high all day. She stretches arms raised to the ceiling, spine curving slightly. A small tilt of the head, and the yawn that follows is quiet, long, unhurried. The kind of yawn that doesn't chase sleep but invites it. There's no mirror check. No second guessing, no fuss, just being here, now, in pajamas soft from too many washes, in a room where nothing asks to be fixed or fought or saved. She pulls open a drawer, not wide, just enough to slip out a pair of socks, not because her feet are cold, but because some part of her has always liked the feel of socks in bed, like a secret shield. Like armor made of cotton, quiet protection from the night. They don't match. One has tiny blue stars barely visible. The other just stripes. But that's how they've always been mismatched, familiar hers. She slides them on slowly, sitting at the edge of her bed now. The mattress creaks a little in response, like it recognizes her weight, like it's been waiting all day just to hold her. The bedspread bunches softly beneath her, the cotton warm from the lamp's low light. And still she doesn't rush, not toward lying down, not toward turning off the lamp, just soaking in the stillness. Because somewhere deep inside her, beneath the boldness, beneath the fight, she knows this part matters too. The pause, the softness, the end of the story before the next one begins. A soft hum rises in the distance. Not from the room, but from the house itself. The walls seem to breathe now, gently. A floorboard groans somewhere below, a pipe sighs behind the wall. The kind of sounds that come not from use, but from rest. She leans back onto her hands, palms pressed against the bedspread, elbows slightly bent. Her gaze drifts upward toward the ceiling, toward nothing at all, just the empty space above her, holding silence like a sky. There are no words in her head now, no thoughts chasing one another, no flashbacks to fights or flights. Everything inside her is gone. Still. A different kind of still than the one she shows during battles. The stillness is soft. It has no edges. It holds her like the world doesn't expect anything else from her. And in this moment, neither does she. A clock ticks quietly on the far wall, not loud. Just enough to remind her that time is passing, but also that time doesn't need to be chased anymore tonight. The race is done. The laps are finished. The only thing left is the drift. A tiny smudge on her nightstand catches the lamplight, maybe from a juice box weeks ago, or a melted candy. She doesn't wipe it away. She just sees it, recognizes it, and lets it be. Because not everything needs to be cleaned right now, not everything needs fixing. Some things are allowed to stay just as they are, a little messy, a little scattered, a little quiet. Like her. She slowly leans back from the edge of the bed, letting her shoulders sink into the mattress with the ease of someone no longer holding up the world. The room meets her without resistance. The bed gives just enough to cradle her, not too firm, not too soft, like a friend that always knows just how close to sit. Her arms rest across her belly now, fingers loose, palms upturned slightly, catching the stillness as if it were something falling gently from the ceiling. The soft hum of the world has grown even quieter. Outside, a distant car murmurs past, tires whispering over pavement, a reminder that life continues, but it continues far away. In here, nothing moves. The curtain dances faintly against the window frame once more, brushing it like a mother's hand smoothing a child's hair. The wind is cooler now, night is deeper, but inside the warmth remains. It lives in the glow of the lamp, in the way her socks hug her feet, in the way the room holds her. Not just her body, but her presence. There are books on the shelf that she won't reach for tonight, a journal that sits closed, a lamp chain that dangles, swaying slightly even though no one touched it. These objects, like her, are resting. Not off, not gone, just resting. Her toes wiggle inside the socks. Her eyes blink slowly, not with sleep yet, but with surrender, with a softness that only comes when you've let the armor fall. She sighs, and it's not a sigh of tiredness. It's a release, the kind of breath that lets something go, the kind that says, I don't have to try anymore. Not right now. A pillow waits behind her, fluffed but not fussy. It's got the shape of her, the one it remembers from nights past. She leans into it now, slowly, head turning to one side, cheek against cotton. It's cool at first, but only for a moment. Then it warms beneath her skin, matching her, becoming hers. The overhead light stays off. The world is lit only by the golden glow of that single bedside lamp. It touches everything softly, her socks, her elbow, the curve of her cheek. It doesn't cast shadows. It smooths them away. Even her breath, slow and even now, catches the light as it moves in and out. A soft rise and fall under the cotton of her t-shirt. Nothing is expected of her in this moment. Not strength, not silence, not smiles. Just presence. Just being. Somewhere downstairs, a floorboard creaks, likely the professor making his own quiet trip through the kitchen. Or maybe a shifting chair. Or maybe the house itself settling like she is now. The sounds don't disturb her. They ground her. Each one a small confirmation that everything is right. That everything continues. That life, in all its quiet beauty, hums on even when the lights are low and the world begins to fade. A small stuffed animal sits on her shelf. She hasn't touched it in months. Maybe years. But tonight she glances at it. Not to play, not to grab, just to notice. And that's enough. Because tonight, she doesn't need anything new. She doesn't need adventure, or action, or achievement. She just needs this moment, these pajamas, this breath, this quiet. Even her thoughts have grown quiet. They drift now, and not in sharp lines or bright colors, but like paper boats set adrift in a slow river, floating toward dreams. No destination, no rush. She doesn't know when she'll fall asleep. She doesn't even try to guess There's no pressure here. No clock ticking down. Just a room, a bed, a girl, and the hush that holds them all like lullabies pressed into the walls. Her legs stretch out now, slow and easy, beneath the blanket, not fully tucked in yet, just testing the softness. The sheet is cool against her calves, the kind of cool that invites you to stay still, to melt beneath it. Her heel shifts once, brushing along the fitted sheet, until it finds that perfect spot, the one that's neither too tight nor too loose. There's no fanfare here, no dramatic pause, just peace. And the blanket, a favorite one, still sits folded at the end of her bed. It's heavier than the rest, with a slightly worn edge she always seems to find in the dark. That blanket has been through things with her. Movie nights, sick days, storms, and quiet victories. Tonight it waits for its part in the bedtime ritual. She reaches for it now, not with speed, not with purpose, but with the kind of slow reach that comes when the body is no longer racing, when sleep isn't chased, but welcomed. The blanket rises and falls over her like a curtain drawn on the final act of a long, full day. It settles across her body with weight not heavy, but enough to ground her. Enough to remind her she's still here, even as her thoughts begin to drift elsewhere. She pulls it higher up to her chest, then to her shoulders, then finally under her chin. The worn edge brushes against her cheek. Familiar, faded, perfect. The lamp glows beside her, golden and soft, tracing the edge of her jaw, her wrist, the collar of her pajama shirt. That glow is her nightlight now. Not because she needs it, but because it adds something warm, something safe, something alive in the darkness. She turns slightly to her side. One arm curls beneath her head. The other rests just above the blanket, fingers curled gently, like they're holding a thought they haven't yet shared. And maybe they are. Maybe she's holding on to a memory from earlier, something simple, a joke, a flash of laughter, the sound of her sisters down the hallway, or maybe nothing at all. Maybe her hands just feel better like this, curled and still, not ready to fight, not needing to hold the world. For a long moment she just lies there, eyes open, breathing slow, watching the shadows the lamp casts on the ceiling. They stretch and shift with every movement of the curtain, with every sigh of the house. It's a show, quiet and abstract one she's seen 100 times but never fully remembered. And that's okay, because bedtime isn't about remembering. It's about releasing. The ceiling, the lamp, the night. It all moves together now, part of a great, gentle rhythm that carries her closer to sleep, closer to that soft, endless sea of dreams, a sea she doesn't dive into. She floats. Because strong as she is, loud, fast, fierce Buttercup floats when it matters most. When the world is quiet, when her heart is open, when the bed is soft and her socks are warm and the night is kind. And this night is very kind. The bed cradles her. The blanket hugs her. The lamp watches over her. Nothing intrudes. No thoughts demand answers. No noise sneaks in. The edges of her mind blur gently, melting like ice into the warm sea of rest. She blinks, one, twice, then again, slower each time. Her eyelids drift closed, but not because she's trying to sleep. She's just done being awake, and that too is peace. There's no soundtrack in this room, no lullaby playing. But if there was one, it would sound like this. The gentle rustle of the curtain, the creak of her bed frame adjusting, the soft sigh of the wind, the almost imperceptible hush of breath through the parted lips. That's her lullaby. That's her quiet. That's her power now, not fists, not fire, not flight, but the ability to be still, to choose rest, to say, oh, without words, I'm safe. And just outside the door, the hallway light flickers once more, dimming further, respecting the silence within. The house knows. It always knows. And it listens. It protects. It holds the hush. Just like Buttercup now, held, protected, hushed. The seconds begin to slip by unnoticed. Not like they do in a race. Not like they do in battle. But in that warm, blurry way that only happens when the mind has stopped counting. When the body no longer measures. When being still becomes the most natural thing in the world. The quiet wraps tighter around her now, not like ropes, but like mist. Like fog on a morning field. Soft, gentle, absolute. The kind of quiet that doesn't make you feel alone. It makes you feel held. And still the lamp glows, not as bright as before, but not gone. It seems to dim itself to match her, to follow her lead. As her breath grows slower, so does its light. It doesn't need to be told. It just knows that it's time to rest, that it's time to lower its brightness and let the night take over. The posters on her walls fade into shadow. The trophies blur into silhouettes. Even the baseball glove, so proudly placed, disappears into the softness of the room. She doesn't notice. She's not watching anymore. Her eyes, now closed, stay that way. No more blinks. No more searching. She's drifting. Not away from herself, not from the day, but into something quieter, something truer. Her breath flows in slow, even waves now, and out. It's not a rhythm she's controlling, it's just happening. The way oceans move, the way stars twinkle, the way fireflies blink over warm grass at night, without planning, without effort, just being what they are. And what she is now is soft. The fire in her hasn't gone out. No, it never does. But it's lowered, gentled, like embers glowing quietly in a hearth. Not gone, just resting, safe. A piece of her blanket slips higher along her cheek as she shifts slightly, not waking, just adjusting. Her body finding its final posture before sleep fully takes hold. A knee tucks in closer. Her chin turns just a fraction. One finger curls tighter against her palm. It's all so subtle, so peaceful. If you didn't look closely, you might think nothing had changed. But everything has. The day is gone. And Buttercup, fierce, fast, bold Buttercup, is wrapped now in stillness, cradled by everything she never says aloud. That sometimes quiet is power. That sometimes letting go is braver than holding on. That sometimes sleep is the greatest victory of all. Outside the window, the wind has stopped completely. Even the curtain is stilled. The whole house, the whole night, holds its breath around her, as if not to disturb her descent. As if every wall and corner and ceiling knows she's almost there. Don't wake her. Even the stars outside seem to shine a little softer now, not twinkling, just glowing, like they've quieted themselves for her. The bed creaks again, the smallest sound a settling, a sigh, as if the room is saying goodnight without needing to speak, because she hears it, not with her ears, but with her being. And she responds, not with words, but with trust. Trust that she doesn't have to fight everything. Trust that this moment is real. Trust that this softness, this hush, this deepening dream is hers. She sinks deeper. Her thoughts dissolve now, not erased, just released, like paper lanterns let go over a quiet lake. One by one, they float away. What if I should have tomorrow, maybe? Gone. Only the now remains, only the breath, only the hush. Now, there's nothing left to hold. Not tension, not memory, not thought. Only the warmth of the blanket, the hush of the room, and the quiet rhythm of sleep beginning to hum beneath her skin. Buttercup has given the day everything she had. And now, at last, she's given herself permission to stop. And stopping doesn't feel weak. It feels right. Outside her window, the moon is full and low, its light slipping like liquid silver across the windowsill. It doesn't try to shine too brightly. It doesn't interrupt. It simply stays, watching. A silent guardian of the night. Of her. The lamp beside the bed flickers once more, then fades. Not all at once, just slowly, gently, until its glow is no longer golden, but amber. Then ember. Then nothing but the memory of light. Still, the room is not dark. It glows in another way now. The kind of glow that comes from within, from the softness of sleep setting in. From the warmth that rises inside you when you're finally allowed to rest without worry, without noise, without anyone needing anything from you. And for Buttercup, that glow is enough. Her face now rests against the pillow with complete surrender. There is no tension in her brow, no press behind her eyes. Her jaw is soft, her breath steady, her limbs weightless beneath the blanket. Her body has told the story the day asked it to tell, and now it tells a new one. The story of stillness, of sinking, and of safe places. Her dreams haven't come yet, but the gate is open. They know where to find her, and when they do, they'll be gentle, not loud or sharp or fast, but slow, floating dreams, soft shapes in a sea of warmth, familiar places filled with skies that stretch wide, and winds that don't rush, dreams that bring her laughter, but quieter now, dreams that carry her, not demand from her, because the day has taken its turn. Now it's night's turn, and night is kind. Somewhere in the hallway, a door closes softly. The sound is padded, distant. The house around her is folding inward, layer by layer, into quiet, into calm, into sleep. Downstairs, a clock ticks on the wall, patient and slow. Up above, the roof creaks beneath the weight of the night air, cooling the shingles. The wind makes one last pass across the windows, brushing the glass like fingers tucking someone in. And inside, tucked in, she is still. She doesn't speak. She doesn't stir. The only motion now is the rise and fall of her chest. The only sound, the soft breath through her nose. The room, the bed, the blanket. They are no longer things around her. They are part of her rest, part of her peace. She is fully asleep now, and the room knows it. It doesn't celebrate, it doesn't change. It simply stays, as it is, holding her, not like a warrior, not like a hero, but like a girl in a t-shirt and mismatched socks, a girl with calloused hands and a wild heart, a girl who has, just for tonight, chosen softness over strength, and in that softness, she is protected, she is whole, she is home, so the house rests with her. The blankets breathe with her. The night watches over her. And the world continues quieter, slower, softer, just outside her window. Inside this room, Buttercup has drifted. And she is gone now, deep into her dreams, still wrapped in cotton and warmth, still glowing even in the dark. In the farthest room, at the end of the hallway, where the light is softest, and the floor creaks least, a different kind of silence begins to grow. Not the sleepy sprawl of blankets and scattered socks, not the hush of bathwater gone still, but a quiet that feels intentional, chosen. A silence that's measured, precise, like a clock winding down its final seconds, not in a hurry, not in a rush, just prepared. Here in Blossom's room, everything has a place. And tonight, everything is beginning to return to where it belongs. A soft glow spills from a small desk lamp. Its light doesn't reach far, just enough to illuminate a neat line of books, a closed planner, and a gentle rhythm of items arranged like memories made tangible. A cup of pens, a folded scarf, a hair clip resting like a fallen petal on the desk's corner, There is no clutter here. There is only quiet intention. And in the center of it, Blossom moves without sound, not rushed, not slow, but with that delicate grace of someone who's thought through every step and decided, it's time to rest. The notebook is closed. The pencil is placed beside it. A gentle breath is taken, not deep, not loud, just enough to mark the end of the day's thoughts. And now the countdown begins, but not in numbers, not yet. Blossom's countdown isn't something you see on a screen or hear in a booming voice. It's quiet, internal, a list of tiny actions taken one by one, each one a step closer to sleep. First, the chair is pushed in, just enough. Its legs make a soft sound against the floor, not a scrape, not a thud, just the brush of order being restored. Then the desk lamp is clicked once. It doesn't go out. It dims. The bulb flickers gently, like it knows what's coming, like it, too, is ready to rest. And the glow that remains is faint enough to touch the edge of a pillow, the frame of a photo, the corner of a curtain. Blossom's footsteps bear precise move slowly towards the nightstand. Each step is a choice. Each choice is a letting go of daylight, of motion, of thought. She picks up her water glass, smooth, cool, and takes one sip. That's all. A quiet ritual. A signal. To her body. To her mind. We are nearly there now. Her bed has already been turned down. The sheets are crisp. The corners folded. Not perfectly, but carefully. There's care in every inch of this room. Not because it needs to impress anyone, but because she finds peace in preparation. Because order brings softness. Because letting go is easier when you know where everything lands. And now, everything is landing where it belongs. A small clock on her nightstand ticks gently. Its sound is steady, low, a pulse more than a noise, a heartbeat for the room. And Blossom listens. She always listens. To the rhythms of her own rest. To the closing of one moment and the slow, warm opening of the next. She turns toward her bed now, and for the first time all day, her posture changes. Shoulders drop. Chin lowers. The straight line of her back softens. She's not giving up. She's letting go. The countdown continues, and though no numbers are spoken, each movement becomes a marker. One glass set down, half full, exactly where it waits every night. 2. The curtain drawn close, a slow, sweeping motion that pulls the night inside and leaves the world outside. 3. The book on her pillow not opened yet, but chosen. The one she always reaches for on nights like this. Even the room breathes with her now. Its silence is not empty. It is full, full of peace, full of purpose, full of the quiet steps that take her out of the day and into the slow, sweet night. Her fingers brush across the edge of the book's worn cover, not to open it yet, just to feel it. The slight texture of the spine, the familiar weight in her hand, the promise of calm hidden in its pages. She sits at the edge of the bed now, her legs tucked up gently, ankles crossed in the way that makes her feel contained. It's the kind of posture that invites a pause, the kind that says, I'm here, I'm listening, and the room listens back. Even the air around her seems to still not out of fear, but in quiet respect, as if it knows this moment matters. The blanket beneath her shifts slightly as she moves the fabric, cool, but not cold. Clean, but not stiff. It molds beneath her as she lowers herself carefully down, back meeting mattress, like a sigh she's been holding since morning. And now, she exhales. The kind of breath that moves more than lungs. It untangles things. Worries, loose and trailing from the corners of her day, slip away unnoticed. Thoughts that once pushed to be heard now drift quietly out of focus, like leaves in a stream passing, peaceful, free. The book opens with the tiniest sound, a soft creak at the spine, a flutter of pages. The first sentence isn't read aloud, but absorbed like music that doesn't need to be heard to be felt. It isn't the kind of story with heroes or danger tonight. No suspense, no sharp corners. It's just a slow world wrapped in gentle words, a village with warm fires, a walk through pine-scented woods, a cup of something warm set beside a window while the snow drifts past. Blossom doesn't race through the lines. She lets them settle, one by one, like stepping stones across a quiet stream, each one placed, each one chosen. Tick, tick, tick. The clock continues. Its steady rhythm in the background becomes part of the story. Not part of the book, but part of her story. It counts down not with urgency, but with care, the same way she does. Because this isn't a race toward sleep. This is a gentle descent, a soft unraveling, a folding inward. Her fingers turn the page, slowly, with respect. No crease, no rush. Just one page, then another, then a pause. Outside the window, the night deepens. No wind now, just stars. They do not blink. They glow, as if they too are listening. And in this stillness, Blossom reads on. The lines are quiet. The story isn't trying to keep her awake, it's trying to keep her company as she lets go. The corners of her mouth soften, not a smile, not quite. Just ease, just peace. As she reaches the end of the chapter, her fingers pause on the last word. She looks at it not reading, not interpreting, just noticing. And then she closes the book, gently, reverently. Another step in the countdown. 4. The story ends, not with drama, but with trust. The kind that says, you can finish tomorrow. 5. The book is placed beside the lamp, right where it lives, right where it belongs. 6. The lamp dims. Another flick of her fingers, a click so soft it barely exists. And the room grows golden, then amber, then the color of memory. The lamp's glow now is barely there, a quiet shimmer that brushes the edge of her nightstand and fades before it reaches the walls. It's not darkness exactly. It's the moment before darkness, the in-between, where light becomes something felt more than seen. And Blossom lingers there, not out of hesitation, but out of reverence. She lies back slowly, spine meeting the mattress, like the closing of a well-worn book. The blanket folds over her in a single, fluid motion, as if it had been waiting for her to lie down just right. No kicking, no tucking, just the blanket knowing its job, and doing it. A pillow shifts slightly beneath her head. She adjusts without thinking a small tilt, a tiny movement of her wrist beneath her cheek. Her breath evens out, guided now not by thoughts, but by rhythm. She pulls the blanket a little higher. The air is cool, the kind of cool that nudges you closer to the covers, the kind of cool that makes warmth feel like safety. And now she counts, not numbers still, but sensations. 7. The weight of the blanket over her legs soft, certain. 8. The slight stretch in her toes as they settle under the sheets, a grounding, a pause. 9. The quiet of the house, no longer something outside her, but something inside. Because the quiet is no longer just the room, it is her. It's settled into her chest, her shoulders, her jaw. The last hints of the day's structure checklists, worries, plans dissolve gently in the corners of her mind, not lost, just stored away. For tomorrow or later or never. They'll wait or they'll fade. Doesn't matter now. Her mind lets go, and still she doesn't sleep, not yet. She hovers now in that beautiful in-between space, where reality is no longer loud, where imagination whispers instead of shouts. This is the true countdown. The final steps, not of the world winding down, but of her, 10. Her breathing deepens, not because she tries, but because the body always knows before the mind does. 9. Her fingers, once curled gently beneath the blanket, now unfurled, just slightly relaxed. Open. 8. Her eyes close, not like curtains being drawn, more like petals. Soft, natural, unannounced. 7. The stars outside her window glow, though she doesn't see them now. Their light filters into the room anyway, brushing the walls, touching the edges of her nightstand like a lullaby in the light form. 6. She sighs. That sounds so small, so barely there is a release of everything she never had to say today. A letting go. A softness blooming from within. 5. The house around her grows stiller. The creaks stop. The air stills. Even the pipes seem to know now. It's time. 4. The clock on her nightstand ticks, steady, slow, but the sound now is distant, as if it, too, is drifting, floating, becoming part of something softer. 3. Her body feels heavier, not tired, not drained, just safe enough to rest completely, too. A memory flickers across her mind, one she doesn't hold on to. A flash of sunlight, or a leaf falling, or the sound of her sister's laughter echoing from down the hall. And then, 1. Stillness. 0, not silence, not nothing, but a kind of completion. The kind of moment where everything is finally in place, where there's nothing more to hold and nothing more to be, where every light has dimmed just right and every breath has softened to match the hush in the walls. Blossom doesn't stir. She's still fully, sweetly still. Her arms rest at her sides now, just under the blanket. The fabric no longer feels like something separate. It's become part of her. Part of this cocoon she's built, stitch by stitch, ritual by ritual. And in this softness, her thoughts no longer come as words. They come as feelings, as warmth, as lightness, the kind that floats. She's not dreaming yet, not quite. But the edge is near, the glowing line where waking begins to blur, where the structure she so carefully built throughout the day now melts, gently, like sugar in tea. The memory of the day is still there, somewhere in her body, but it no longer asks for attention. The notes she took, the list she made, the things she led, solved, supported, all of it, now lies folded in the back of her mind, like a letter placed in a drawer, ready if she needs it, but not for now. Now is just now, the present moment, the quietest place. There's no clock here, not anymore, only breath, only stillness, only the hush of a heart that has stopped racing, not because it gave up, but because it found peace. Outside, the wind has risen again, soft and steady. It brushes against the windows and hums through the trees. A natural lullaby. A sound that has no language, but speaks to something deep inside. And it says, rest. It says, you've done enough. It says, let go now. So she does. She lets her thoughts fall. Like feathers, no weight, no noise. Just a slow drift downward. She lets the last of the tension leave her jaw. She lets her toes relax, her fingers uncoil, her breath find its slowest rhythm. There's no performance here. No need to impress. No need to prepare. The day is over. The night is safe. The countdown is complete. She has made her list. She has taken her steps. She has done all she needed to do. Now she is exactly where she belongs. In the warmth of her bed. In the softness of her room. In the quiet of herself. Her dreams arrive not like fireworks, but like fog. They rise from the corners of her mind, slow silver shapes in a lavender sea. Not stories, not yet. Just glimmers. Just lights. Just feelings that roll in like the tide. The world beyond her window no longer matters. The stars have taken their places. The night has wrapped its arms around her, and she is floating. No push, no pull, just held. And in this holding she is free, her heart steady and her breath light, her mind still. This is what it means to rest with intention. To let the day fold up behind you like a paper crane and watch it drift into the sky. To say without speaking, I've done enough. I am enough. I can rest now. And the room agrees. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't hum. It simply stays. Still. Steady. Soft. Just like her. Downstairs, the night is different. Not silent, but softened. The kind of quiet that hums beneath the surface steady low like a song with no lyrics. Just warmth. Just the feeling of being watched over by someone who never stopped caring. The lab light is off now. The machines sleep in silence. Even the screens, once glowing, have dimmed their last blue flickers, blinking out like fireflies returning to the grass. And in this hush, the professor moves through the house like a memory still alive, not hurried and not tired, but calm. His steps are slow, familiar, like they know the house better than his eyes ever could. Each floorboard underfoot greets him gently, creaking not with complaint, but with comfort. A reminder that this house lives too, and it is resting. He passes by the kitchen. The faucet is off, the dishes are done. A small cup sits by the sink, its rim still faintly warm, not forgotten, just finished. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. The house listens, even in stillness, and he in turn listens back, to the tick of the hallway clock, to the rustle of trees outside the window, to the soft, nearly inaudible exhale from one of the upstairs rooms, the kind that only a parent hears. The kind that lets him know they're asleep. And finally, he lets himself slow. Not because the work is done, it never truly is, but because they are safe. And so for tonight, that's enough. He steps into the living room, a quiet museum of the day. There's a sock under the couch, a toy near the rug, one cushion slightly askew where someone once bounced too hard, too fast. He doesn't clean them. He doesn't scold. He just notices. And with a quiet smile that only belongs to people who have given and still choose to give, he straightens the cushion. Not perfectly. Just enough. He walks to the window and draws the curtain halfway. Outside, the moon casts pale light across the grass, catching the tips of flower stems and the curve of the walkway. He watches it for a moment. Oh, not to think, not to solve, or just to be. Because this, too, is part of the lullaby. Not a sound, but a presence. Not music, but rhythm. The rhythm of letting go. The rhythm of closing up the day, one breath at a time. He steps back into the hall, passing by pictures that line the walls. Familiar faces in frames, some crooked, some straight. Some days frozen in perfect smiles, others in silly grins or chocolate-stained cheeks. He doesn't pause at each one. He doesn't need to. He carries them in his heart, always. But tonight, as the hallway stretches in quiet before him, those pictures feel different. Not loud with memory, but soft with meaning. Proof that the day was real. That love lived here not once, but always. And still does, in every step, in every sigh, in every whisper of this quiet house that now begins to hum his lullaby back to him. At the end of the hallway, his hand brushes the wall, not to steady himself, but simply to feel it. The texture of the paint, the edges where small fingerprints once lived. The stories of years folded into corners no one else notices anymore. He walks slower now, not because he's tired, but because the house deserves this kind of farewell, this kind of care. Every step is a quiet goodnight, not spoken, but felt. He passes their rooms, each one glowing faintly beneath its closed door, not with light, but with presence. And he doesn't knock, doesn't peek in. He already knows. He knows Bubbles has drifted off, surrounded by the faint scent of soap and bubble bath, her hair still damp, her sleep soft and deep. He knows Buttercup lies bundled in her cocoon of mismatched sheets and worn pajamas, her strength traded for stillness, her limbs finally resting, and Blossom, quiet and curled like a comma at the end of a beautiful sentence, wrapped in the silence she chose for herself. He stops near her door for a breath, not because he worries, because he cherishes. Because this moment, this hush, is something sacred. A lullaby that doesn't need melody or words, just presence, just breath, just the gentle knowledge that they are safe. And so now, he can be too. He turns to his own room. The door opens without a sound, not out of habit, but out of kindness. The kind of quiet that respects the night. Inside, everything is still. His slippers rest beside the bed, just where he left them. The comforter turned back. Not perfectly, but with care. His reading glasses folded on the nightstand. Their arms curved like they're sleeping too. There's a book on the bed. The kind he's read a dozen times. Not for excitement, but for rhythm, for familiarity. For the same reason some songs are played again and again, not because they surprise, but because they soothe. He doesn't read it tonight. Tonight? The lullaby is already here. He can feel it in his shoulders as he sits down, in the way his knees sigh beneath him, in the way the mattress greets him like an old friend, and in the air, that weightless, breathless stillness that only arrives when everyone has finally let go. Even the walls are quieter now. No more settling, no more shifting. The house is breathing with him. He reaches toward the lamp, pausing for just a second, not out of reluctance, but appreciation. Appreciation for this moment. For the silence that isn't empty. For the warmth that lingers. For the lullaby that hums, not through speakers, but through life. He clicks the light off, and in that instant, when the room becomes shadow and warmth, something inside him releases. Not with drama, not with sound, but with deep, quiet certainty. They are okay. And so now, he is too. He lies back, the bed cradling him like the arms of an old friend. The sheets are cool, but not cold. The pillow fits beneath his head as if shaped by years, and his body, finally still, lets go in layers. First the shoulders, then the hands, then the breath. It's not about sleep just yet. It's about allowing the stillness to wrap itself around him like a familiar coat, hung gently over the soul. The weight of the day, though invisible, has always been there in the choices, the questions, the little things he didn't speak aloud. But now, in this hush, it loosens. It dissolves into the quiet. He stares at the ceiling for a moment, though there's nothing to see in the dark, only the slow, pale memory of the moon filtering through the curtains, and that is enough. Because silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of peace. And in this room, peace hums like a lullaby sung by the home itself. It's there in the low creak of the walls, in the soft tap of the tree branch brushing the window, in the occasional distant breath of the girls muffled by doors yet still known. He folds his hands loosely on his chest, feeling the rise and fall of breath, slow, even, like waves lapping the edge of a shore no one else walks but him. He isn't counting sheep. He isn't thinking of inventions or formulas or tomorrow's plans. He's simply here, alive in this quiet moment, held by the world he built, cradled by the calm he made space for. He doesn't need a lullaby, because this house is one. Its beams are verses, its rooms, harmonies, the soft ticking of the clock down the hall, a gentle tempo to dream by. A lullaby without melody, without rhyme. Just rhythm, just breath, just warmth. And he knows, somewhere deeper than the mind, that this is what he's always worked for. Not the accolades, not the achievements, but this, a safe place, a home where small feet run and then rest, where voices rise and fall silent in sleep, where the only sound that matters at the end of it all is the hush that says, "You've done enough today. You've given all you needed to give. Now, rest." His eyelids grow heavier, not from fatigue, but from surrender. The kind of sleep that isn't forced, but welcome. He shifts slightly. One arm slides to the side. His feet find that familiar cool spot under the covers, and then stillness. Real stillness. Not holding anything, not guarding anything, not fixing anything. Just being. The breath deepens. The mind quiets. The heart, so often full of worry and wonder, settles into a slow, soft beat. There are no dreams yet, but the door to them is open. And just before his thoughts disappear into that place beyond words, he imagines, for just a second, a small shape pressing into the doorway. Maybe Bubbles, checking once more. Maybe Blossom, making sure the lock was turned. Maybe Buttercup, just watching to be sure the light really went off. He doesn't move, but he smiles. Because even if they aren't there, not in the doorway, not in the hallway, not peeking in, he knows their hearts are, and his heart is with them, always. The world outside his window fades even more. The lawn below, once golden in the day's light, is now barely a suggestion in the dark. The sky has tucked away its twilight blues and dressed in velvet black. The stars, bold a few hours ago, now blink slower, fainter, as if they too are surrendering to rest. Even the moon has lowered, no longer casting light across the beds. Just a whisper now, a breath against the curtains. And still the house holds him. Not like a fortress, not like a lab, but like a heart. Every floorboard, every screw, every quiet wire running through the walls, all humming softly now, not with energy, not with light, but with memory. They've seen it all, these walls. The first time he held their tiny hands, the first splash of spilled paint on the kitchen floor, the tears after mistakes, the laughter when no one knew why, the quiet hugs exchanged when words weren't enough. And now, they hold him back. Because even heroes need to be held. Even creators need to collapse into comfort. Even the strongest minds need to rest. The clock in the hall ticks on. Slower than before, not because time has changed, but because his experience of it has. Tick to tick, and space stretches between them. His breath has matched it now. Inhale, pause. Exhale. There's no tension to manage, no pressure to fix, only stillness, only sleep approaching, soft-footed and kind. And as the hush deepens, something inside the professor gently unfolds a part of him that has nothing to do with logic, with science, with explanation. A part that belongs only to this hour, only to this letting go. There's a name for it, though it's not often spoken. Some might call it surrender. Others might call it trust. But here, in this home, it is simply called love. Because love doesn't always arrive in declarations or gifts. Sometimes love looks like a light turned off at the right time, like a door quietly shut without waking anyone, like footsteps muffled on carpet at midnight, like a father finally allowing himself to rest. And now he does. Not because the world is fixed, and not because everything is solved, but because, for this one small moment, nothing else is asked of him. And the night allows it. No judgment. No weight. No resistance. just the steady pull of slumber wrapping around him like his blanket tucking beneath his knees, pressing into the bend of his elbows, whispering in the space between one breath and the next. He is no longer awake, but not quite dreaming. He floats in the warm space between consciousness and sleep, a space where time has no meaning, where sound is velvet, where memory becomes mist, and in that mist, he fades, not lost, not gone, just sleeping, deeply, gently, completely. And the house watches over him, as he has watched over it. The circle is complete. Upstairs, the walls hum with silence. The kind of silence that carries meaning, not absence but presence, not emptiness but fullness. A silence thick with stories already lived and dreams just beginning to bloom. The professor's breath has gone shallow now, not strained but easy. His chest rises and falls in the kind of rhythm that needs no effort. The rhythm of a heart at rest, of thoughts released, of care turned inward. Outside, the trees sway gently, no longer rustling, just moving slowly like sleepwalkers under the starlight. The grass, too, is still. No footsteps, no play, no sound. Just the cool hush of night air kissing the earth. And somewhere near the window, the last firefly of summer blinks once, then disappears. Down the hallway, each room has surrendered to the hush. There are no clocks ticking fast, no whispers, no questions. Only the slow breath of the Utonium House at rest. Even the smallest things have gone quiet. The faucet doesn't drip. The heater doesn't hum. The pages of the open book on Blossom's nightstand do not flutter, even as the window remains slightly cracked, as if the air itself knows to tread gently tonight. And through it all, the professor sleeps, still, comfortable, unburdened, wrapped in blankets that smell like laundry and memory, surrounded by walls he built with his own hands, protected by a silence he taught this house to hold. He doesn't dream of great discoveries tonight, not of formulas or flashes of brilliance. Tonight his mind floats through simpler places, a field of flowers his daughters once ran through, a Sunday morning with pancakes stacked high, a birthday candle blown out in one breath, a moment of laughter so loud it made the roof feel alive. They are fragments, soft and weightless, but they hold the kind of joy that doesn't ask to be remembered, because it lives in the bones, in the soul, in the walls of this very room, and in those fragments he drifts deeper, not toward anything, but away, away from worry, away from the ticking of time, away from the endless list of tomorrows. Tonight there is only now, only this bed, this breath, this quiet love that fills every shadow in the house. And outside the stars remain, fainter now, not because they are dimmer, but because sleep wraps everything in velvet, in softness, in grace. The moon, too, begins its slow descent, and as it sinks lower in the sky, the Utonium home seems to sigh with it. One last deep exhale, one last whisper of warmth, one last flicker of knowing that tonight everyone is safe. Bubbles, Buttercup, Blossom, and the professor, each tucked into a different room, each dreaming in a different way, each held by the same gentle hush. And now the lullaby is no longer being sung, because it doesn't need to be. It lingers. It stays. Not in words, not in music, but in the silence that holds them all, soft as dusk, still as breath, steady as love. And as the night reaches its quietest hour, not a single sound remains, only rest, only peace, only sleep. Begins not with a sound, but with the absence of one. No footsteps, no soft voices, no creaks or whispers or distant sighs, only stillness. The kind that sinks deep not only into pillows and bed sheets, but into beams, floors, and walls. The kind of stillness that has weight, as if the very house has taken a long, slow breath and held it, then let it go with the same quiet ease as a dream fading just before morning. The Utonium House, bright and buzzing by day, now rests like a great, gentle creature. Its limbs are the hallways, long and stretched. Its breath is the warmth, still lingering in the rooms. Its heartbeat is the slow hum beneath the floors, barely audible, like a lullaby almost forgotten. And tonight, the house is not holding anyone up. It's holding them in, blanketing them not with beams and brick, but with memory. Each room holds a whisper, not a voice, not a word, but a trace. The impression of giggles from hours ago, now folded into shadows. The flicker of bedtime stories absorbed by the soft paint on the walls. The echo of light feet rushing down the stairs, not heard but remembered. The house holds it all, not for the sake of keeping, but for the sake of rest. Outside, the wind slows. It no longer brushes the windows. It simply lingers, as if standing watch. The trees no longer dance. They sway slow and tired. And in the yard, the swing moves once, gently, as if exhaling. Back inside, every room has gone dim. The lamps clicked off with care. The curtains drawn with softness. The doors left slightly ajar, not out of fear, but trust. There is no reason to close anything fully here. Not when the whole home is safe. Not when sleep has come to everyone within. Even the smallest places have stilled. The laundry room empty, silent. The corners of the hallway undisturbed. The air vents humming with the slow pulse of warmth, but not working too hard. Just enough to comfort. Just enough to wrap each bed in invisible arms, and the stairs, those once echoing stairs where laughter raced and slippers thudded, they're quiet now, not unused, just at peace. Their job is done for the day, and the house, for the first time in hours, feels whole. No movement, no voices, no needs unmet, only presence, only breath, only sleep. And here in this stillness, the house begins to sleep too. Not like the others, not in a bed or beneath a blanket, but in stillness, in dimness, in deep exhale. The furniture no longer waits for someone to sit. The clock no longer counts for anyone to hear. The light switches, all finally flicked off, rest like closed eyes in the walls. This is the kind of sleep that belongs only to places that love deeply, to homes that don't just shelter, but remember, that don't just stand, but feel. And tonight, the Utonium home feels everything. Every heartbeat upstairs, every breath beneath the blankets, every sigh of surrender from the man who built it. And it, too, lets go, not into sleep the way people do, but into rest, into peace, into the hush of knowing fully, surely, that its family is safe. And that is all it ever needed. Down in the basement, the machines are silent. There are no blinking lights, no humming wires, no whirring of gears or blinking monitors trying to finish one last task. The lab rests now just as the living rooms do, and even here, in the space of invention and energy, the quiet has arrived. It settles between tools. It nests beneath the workbenches. It curls around wires and glass like a fog of calm. The chalkboard, still holding the faint outline of a drawn formula, is untouched. A smudge of chalk, still fresh from the professor's hand, waits in the corner, no longer urgent. No one will come to finish the problem tonight, and the board understands. It doesn't ask for more. It simply holds what's already been given, like the house itself, never demanding, only offering space. Upstairs, the living room glows faintly with residual warmth. No lamps, No TV, no sound. Only the memory of togetherness. A cup sits on the table empty now. A pillow remains slightly slouched on one end of the couch. A tiny footprint marks the cushion left by someone who hopped, perhaps, just a little too hard before being scooped up to bed. Nothing is out of place. Everything is just as it should be. Not perfect, but peaceful. The house doesn't strive for flawlessness. It embraces the lived-in, the little imperfections, the sock half hidden under the couch, the crayon mark just barely visible along the hallway wall. It doesn't mind. It's proud of them, even, because they mean the house has lived, that it has witnessed laughter and learning, whispers and tantrums, plans scribbled in the morning, and dreams shared at night. It has echoed with the chaos. It has held firm during storms, and now it holds peace. The windows breathe quietly. The curtains shift just slightly as the night wind brushes them like fingers stroking a page. And in the gentle pulse of silence, the house begins to truly let go. The air has weight to it, now not heavy, but thick with stillness, like fog in a forest, like wool in winter. And through this stillness, even the things that once stayed alert begin to rest. The locks on the doors feel no pressure, now only pride in their closure. The thermostats hum with ease, maintaining comfort, not control. Even the refrigerator, always persistent in its hum, now feels distant, as if even it has turned its volume down to let the night breathe fully. And then the stairs sigh. It's not a sound, it's a release, a soft settling, a final shift before total rest. Not because someone stepped on them, but because no one will. Not again tonight. Every step knows it. And in that knowing, they relax. The ceilings no longer echo. By day, they capture the sounds of voices, bouncing laughter, and footsteps, chatter and cheer. But now they've quieted. Their arching curves and painted beams simply watch, hold, wait. Not for more noise, but for dawn, because night is their time to listen. To the softness of dreams stirring upstairs, to the creak of sheets as a sleeper turns gently in their bed, to the shifting air as warmth settles in corners. In the kitchen, the counters are cleared. The hum of the refrigerator has faded to a distant pulse. The sink is dry. Even the dish towel, draped lazily over the oven handle, doesn't sway. It just rests like the rest of the house in stillness. And though the world beyond the walls continues to spin, inside, time has done something beautiful. It's paused, or perhaps it's simply slowed, long enough to become something softer, long enough to let the house feel, not rush, not ready, just still. Because there's no hurry in sleep, no schedule in rest, only surrender, and the house is good at that. It's done this thousands of times. Let day turn gently into night. Let warmth replace motion. Let silence swell into something sacred. Because this house has memory, it remembers other nights. Nights of storms when rain hit the windows like questions with no answers. Nights of celebration when lights stayed on too long and the air was filled with sugar and laughter. Nights of worry when sleep came late and thoughts stayed heavy. But tonight is quiet. Tonight is ease. There is no storm, no celebration, no weight. Just the deep, calm knowing that everyone is safe, that nothing needs fixing, that no one needs more than what's already been given. And the house knows something else too. It's okay to rest, even for the things that don't sleep, not in the way people do, even for bricks and wood and plaster, because rest doesn't always mean unconsciousness. Sometimes it just means being without effort. Sometimes it means existing without holding anything. and so the walls breathe. The door frames sigh. The floorboards, usually tense with use, now lie flat, like pages at the end of a well-read book. The whole house settles, not like a structure, but like a soul. The shadows now are different, not looming, not sharp, but round, soft-edged, and settled like old blankets folded across furniture, shaped by the memory of day. They stretch across the walls gently, curling into corners, resting atop bookshelves and window panes as if they, too, were tired of chasing the light. The moonlight doesn't pierce them, it wraps around them, gentle, patient, tender. Everything is slowed. The hallway no longer stretches with purpose, it simply is. A still corridor of warmth, holding the soft echoes of the day's last steps, now long gone. And though every door is closed or nearly closed, the house doesn't feel divided. It feels whole, because sleep is not separation. It's togetherness, carried through silence. In one room, a gentle snore. In another, a tiny sigh. Further down, the creak of a bed spring shifting once, and then falling silent again. No voices, no conversations. But the quiet is not empty. It is filled with presence, as if the very walls have become aware, not in a thinking way, but in a sensing way, feeling each breath, each slumbering heartbeat, each soul the house is trusted to hold. And in this sensing, something rare happens. The house begins to dream too, not in images, not in scenes, but in feelings. The feeling of sunlight on its windowsills, the echo of giggles in the stairwell, the warm press of small hands against cold doorknobs, the soft thud of tiny feet running, rushing, living. These are the house's dreams, not made-up stories, but stored-up memories. And now they rise like heat through the floorboards, drifting upward like ghost light in the night, not to wake anyone, but to remind itself I have lived too. The refrigerator is still now, no longer humming. The curtains hang motionless. Even the clocks, though technically ticking, feel suspended, held in this breathless pause between the end of night and the very first whisper of dawn. The lamps are cool. The rugs are quiet. The air is thick with sleep, not like fog, but like velvet, heavy, comforting, and slow. And in this velvet silence, every crevice and corner of the Utonium home glows with something wordless. Not light, not sound, but love. A love that doesn't ask, that doesn't speak, that simply stays. It stays in the cushions left askew, in the faint prints on the glass, in the way the hallway holds warmth long after feet have gone. The house isn't just shelter, it's memory, its keeper, its guardian. And now, with everyone resting inside the little ones who changed its walls forever, and the man who built those walls with tired hands and a brave heart, the house finally lets go. Not all at once, but in waves, wave after wave of stillness, washing through the rafters, the beams, the floors, until everything becomes soft. Everything becomes whole. Everything becomes asleep. The night by now has lost its edge. It no longer stretches wide or speaks in shadows. It has curled inward, folded itself gently around the house like a soft quilt. It holds no threats, only peace. Outside the stars still glimmer, but their light no longer reaches in. Even the moon seems to dim, not gone, but respectful. It knows this house is asleep, and so it retreats behind a slow drifting cloud, leaving behind just a faint silver trace across the roof. Inside, nothing stirs, and yet the house feels full, not of movement, not of sound, but of warmth, as if the very walls were breathing slow and shallow in rhythm with the sleep of those they guard. And it is a kind of breath that asks for nothing, not awareness, not alertness, just being. In the hallway, the nightlight glows, not bright, not sharp, just enough to be there, a silent sentinel glowing soft amber through the darkness. The floorboards beneath it are cool now. They have stopped echoing. They are still. They know that every step has been taken, every bedtime moment complete, and now they are allowed to rest. In the kitchen, the table stands quietly. A crumb here, a forgotten napkin there. But none of it matters, because nothing is expected. Not now. The chairs don't need to be pushed in. The cabinets don't need closing. The day doesn't need to be corrected. The house and all within it has earned this stillness. In the professor's room, the steady rise and fall of sleep continues, one breath, another, like a pendulum that keeps time not for work, but for dreams. And beyond his door, the girls' rooms remain still, untouched. The kind of stillness that doesn't beg to be broken, that invites you to watch and not disturb. Blankets gently tucked, stuffed animals cradled in small arms, soft hair spread over pillows like whispers. They are held, not just by their beds, but by the space itself. The air around them has thickened, not heavy, but protective. The kind of air only found in places where love lives. And so the house breathes slower. It doesn't need to do anything. It only needs to be here, to be present, to be whole, to be home. Even the attic, quiet for years, seems to sense the stillness. Its beams no longer shift. Its forgotten boxes lie untouched. And even the dust sleeps now, drifting through beams of soft darkness like glitter no one will ever see. It is as though time has stopped, not broken, just resting, waiting patiently at the doorstep of morning, knowing that when the sun rises again, things will wake, stretch, begin once more. But not yet. Not now. This hour, this hush, belongs to no one and everyone. It belongs to the breath before the first bird sings, to the quiet before clocks tick louder, to the space where sleep has not yet ended, and the day has not yet begun, and the house, this dear old home that has held storms and secrets and sugar-spun mornings, simply remains, soft, dim, unmoving, yet somehow alive. Now, even the air has slowed. The kind of stillness you don't notice with your ears, but with your heart, huh? That strange, gentle weight that says, you're safe here. You're loved here. Nothing more is asked of you tonight. The light outside the front porch has gone dim. Its bulb, warmed by habit, still holds a soft amber glow. But it doesn't push the dark away. It welcomes it. Because in this house, darkness is not frightening. It's soothing. It's quiet. It's the lull between one story and the next. Out on the porch, the swing no longer sways. It simply rests in its frame, wooden arms crossed, gently over time. The wind no longer touches it. The stars no longer glance its way. And the world beyond the fence, the streets, the lights, the lives still moving, feels far away. Not gone. Just not here. Because here is different. Here everything is still. Everything is soft. Everything sleeps. And as the deepest hour of night passes unseen, the house continues its slumber. Not dramatic, not loud, not final, and just quiet. A quiet that says, the day has done its part. The laughter was enough. The lights have rested. The love has landed. And now all is still. In the girls' rooms, dreams dance gently, images without rules, without weight. Things only the mind of a child can imagine. Places that feel like flying. Sounds that feel like colors. The kind of dreams that can only be dreamt when nothing feels rushed. When no one is watching. When the house has stopped holding and simply embraces. The walls do not move, but they listen. And what they hear now is nothing. Not because nothing is there, but because nothing needs to be said. It's the silence that comes when everything has been said already, when love has already been shown, when presence has already been proven. The final page of a book, not turned but gently closed, and the house, this brave, battered, beautiful home, breathes one last sigh, a quiet, invisible gesture. Not goodbye, not farewell, just good night. No one hears it, but somehow everyone feels it. They feel it in the weightless drop into deeper sleep, in the soft sinking into their mattresses, in the warm pressure of air unmoving across their skin. And they do not wake, not because they're too far gone, but because they're finally, completely home. The last lights flicker low behind the curtains. The shadows tuck themselves into the folds of the walls, and the final sounds a settling beam, a soft exhale drift into silence, until there is only one thing left. Stillness. Not empty, but full. Not blank, but beloved. Stillness that feels like a song you don't need to hear to understand. Stillness that feels like arms wrapped around you from all sides. Stillness that says, you don't have to do anything now. You've already done enough. You've already loved enough. You've already been enough. And now you may sleep. The house has, the night has, and soon even the stars will too. And so we leave tonight's story here, in the stillness of a world asleep. The night's arms wrap around the Utonium House, keeping the Powerpuff Girls safe in dreams until the sun rises once more.